In this video, we will see how to create a challenge starting from a template. So in our example, we will use the template called Submission and Evaluation of Assignments, but the principle remains the same, whether you use other templates like group member evaluation or oral presentation evaluation. We will start by clicking on Create on the desired template. Here, we will first be asked for a certain amount of information, such as the title of the challenge or a summary. You can also add a profile and cover image, as well as resources that will be accessible throughout the duration of the challenge. We can then move on to scheduling. Here, you will be able to set a start date and an end date for each phase of this challenge. So for this challenge, there are 3 phases: a submission phase, an evaluation phase, and a results phase. For the submission phase, I can simply click here and then set a start date, an end date, and optionally allow late submissions if needed. I can also enable notifications that will automatically remind students at the start of the phase and 24 hours before the end of the phase for those who are late. Once I have set my dates, I must remember to click Apply so that they are taken into account. And I can repeat this process for the evaluation phase and the results phase. Next, I can move on to the instructions. Here, I can set instructions for each of the phases. So I will find my phases on the left and on the right, the instructions that are defined, as well as the resources associated with the phase. By default, there are already instructions in the templates, but you can absolutely edit them if you wish. We will now move on to registering the participants. Here, I will be able to enroll participants in each of the phases. So if I am integrated into an LMS like Moodle, Blackboard, or Brightspace, I can click on Enroll as a team if it's a group project, or Enroll individually if it's an individual assignment. And depending on which button I click, I will be able to retrieve information from my LMS. So here, for example, the groups that are present in my LMS can be enrolled in my phase. If it were an individual assignment, I could do the same thing by clicking on Enroll individually. If I am not integrated with an LMS, or if I do not use the group functionality in my LMS, I can simply click on Import Participants and attach an Excel file here where I will be asked for the participant's email as well as their group if it is a group assignment. You can download the sample file right here. In our case, we want the students who have submitted their work to evaluate the work of other groups. So for that, I will go to the evaluation phase to enroll the reviewers, and I will select Reuse Enrollments from the phase. And here I will specify that I want to use the enrollments from the submission phase individually so that each student registered in a group during the submission phase is also enrolled in the evaluation phase, but individually, so that they can individually assess the work of other groups. Here I can see the students who have been retrieved from the submission phase and individually enrolled as reviewers in the evaluation phase. Now we can move on to selecting the evaluation criteria. Here we will be able to define the evaluation criteria that will be made available to the reviewers during the evaluation phase. So if I need to use my own rubric, I can select new criteria to add the desired criteria according to the rubric I want to reproduce. So I can define a name for my criterion and select the desired evaluation method. We have stars, numbers, predefined options, checkboxes, or even text fields. And I can also add a description if needed and click Save to add my criteria. If I don't have a rubric that I want to use and instead want to select criteria that already exist in the ChallengeMe database, I can do so by clicking on Predefined Criteria. I will then be able to select existing criteria from the ChallengeMe database by clicking on the ones I'm interested in and then clicking Select. Finally, I can also add a collection of criteria to my challenge. So here, this will allow us to select a set of criteria that corresponds to a specific use case. For example, we can see here options like detecting free riders, evaluating feedback, evaluating a resume, and so on. Here, you can choose the collection of criteria that interests you to add criteria based on a particular use case. You can also enable overall feedback at the end of the criteria and make it mandatory if needed. Now let's move on to the options. Here we can set options for each phase. So for the submission phase, I can, for example, specify the expected file form. Is it attachments? Is it a text field? If it's attachments, how many files am I expecting? Are there specific formats that I want to require? So all of this can be configured in the options for the submission phase. For the evaluation phase, I can specify whether I want to lift anonymity or not. So this is done at this stage. And for the results phase, I can specify the type of results I want to present to the participants, or if I want to completely hide the results from the participant. In that case, only the teachers will be able to access the results, not the participants. I can also display the results to students in real time. This means that students will be able to access the results in real time, even before the results phase officially begins. When this results phase begins, the results will be finalized and definitive. I can also set the type of expected score, whether it's a score out of 20 at the end, and assign weightings to each criterion that has been defined. Penalties can also be set for late submissions or for not participating in a phase. Next, I will be able to move on to assigning the evaluators. So here I will be able to set the number of assignments each participant has to evaluate. By default here, it's set to 3. This means that each participant will have to evaluate 3 other groups. In this case, the system automatically distributes the number of assignments to be evaluated among the reviewers so that each assignment receives an equivalent amount of feedback in the end. If necessary, I can also manually assign evaluations if I need to specify that certain students must evaluate particular assignments. To do this, I have the manual assignment option where I can select which assignments each student will evaluate. We can now move on to AI assistance. If your school has subscribed to the AI option, you can add an AI assistant to each phase, and it will play a specific role depending on the model you select. So typically, here I am in the assignment evaluation phase, and I want to add an assistant to help the student write high-quality feedback. So I will be able to select the model I'm interested in this case, assistance with writing feedback. This means that students will be able to activate their AI assistant during the evaluation phase to help them improve the feedback they have written. I can do the same thing as well if I want to add, say, a summary to the results phase, which will analyze the evaluations and feedback received for each student in order to present them with the strengths and areas for improvement in their work. Once all these elements are configured, I will be able to publish the challenge by clicking on Publish right here. Or if I want to see a preview of what the participants will see during the challenge, I can also click on Preview right here.